To I don't know. I'm not your dad. Just some guy on the internet who likes live streaming and playing Roblox even though I'm 24 years old. Then again, there's actually a lot more adults who play Roblox than you think. And I'm not talking about those kinds of adults. I'm talking about, just normal people like me who just play video games and stuff. Not people who are they who shall not be named. Anyway, yes, hello phone. Yeah, so it's a chillin' chat, but I'm gonna be playing Roblox. Also, I already said this numerous times last night, but I would like to apologize for the lack of audio from my microphone for a large majority of the stream last night. I ended up deleting the stream because I wasn't happy with what happened. However, yeah. Basically, I do have the microphone working. It's not that the microphone was not working, it's not like it was broken, it's just the audio source for the microphone was set to default, which was not the microphone I'm using. Anyway. Yeah. Cha-ching. I'm rich. Wow. Guess I could play some music because I have the music in the game turned off. Just, because. Um, that song's good, by the way. I guess I could put on some Hypnospace music.
Study music production online with Berklee's renowned faculty. Download your free music production handbook now and discover.
Don't care. So I have this really funny thing that I did running through my mind. Just a bathroom in the night. Spray the shaving cream to my hand. Lather up the world, don't understand. Man inside the mirror now. Should I finally let him out? I'm gonna the wrong place.
Riding along my flesh, I need confidence and patience. If any was a galaxy of innocence. It's true, I am the child of man. This is my contrition.
What I was trying to say is that there's a funny story that I remember from my childhood. So by the way, that's not a player, that's a farmhand. Wrench hand. But what had happened was and this is a really long time ago when I was a little kid, but I still distinctly remember this. And how I remember it was that for a while I had forgotten about it, but one of my friends had made a post on Facebook talking about VeggieTales, and it made me remember this really funny thing that I said whenever I was a little kid. And basically, what had happened was I was in church with some kids because I was in the children's class, and what had happened was it was just sorting up the episode for VeggieTales, and what happened was I can't even say it, it's so funny. But anyway, you know how typically in the VeggieTales episodes, Bob and Larry introduce themselves? So Bob's like, "Welcome to VeggieTales! I'm Bob the Tomato," and then Larry says, "And I'm Larry the Cucumber." What's funny is, when I was a little kid, I knew a little bit about Larry the Cable Guy. So, without even thinking, whenever Larry was about to introduce himself, I spoke over him and I said, "And I'm Larry the Cable Guy." And everybody in the entire class started laughing at what I said. To this day, I still think it's probably one of the funniest things I've ever done. Please note, this is something that happened a very long time ago, probably when I was 10 years old or something. I don't remember how old I was exactly, but it was hilarious. It was like... Welcome to VeggieTales. I'm Bob the Tomato, and I'm Larry the Cable Guy. Oh, look, Sonic Colors Ultimate. I actually just beat that a few days ago. It's really good. Finally, they fixed the issues with the game. At least on Switch and PS4/5. I'm not sure about Xbox, because I don't have the game on Xbox. Man, I'm surprised I even remembered that. I got reminded of it, really. It was hilarious nonetheless, because, like, again, it just came out of left field for me to say that, but it was so hilarious when I said it. Hello, beer. Let's see, Orange Field. So the music that you're listening to, and I kid you not, Ready to Shave by the Shower Man. It's Hot Dead. Hypnospace is a great game. I highly recommend it. I think it's $20, I think. Because I have it on Steam, and I briefly had it on Xbox through Game Pass. And that's actually how I found out about the game. And I found out that it was also on PC and stuff, because I looked up stuff about the game and got me interested. Still never forget when I finally got all the archive pages in the game. Freaking awesome. This is one of the few games on Roblox that are actually good. It gets kind of samey after a while. Person watching, you can hear me just fine, right? I need to raise up the volume. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Yeah, this is actually a pretty good game.
At University of Phoenix, you can take online classes anytime, day or night, because there are never enough hours in the day. Learn more at phoenix.edu.
I guess this is just a general advertisement, but how does that even apply to me? I don't even live anywhere near Arizona. Hell, I can't even drive. I don't have the money for a flight, an actual plane. Besides, that's far more expensive. Oh. This song is nearly 8 minutes! Yes! Also, Hot Dad is awesome. I highly recommend checking him out on Twitch, YouTube, Twitter. He makes really good music.
A beautiful boy, a huge impact and legacy. My best
Especially
friend
this.
sleeping again.
I was actually watching a song, listening to earlier, because there's a song,
My sweet Jax loves to talk.
I think it was called I Love Websites or something, and it was him talking about all these different websites on the internet. And he even mentions the NSFW variety. You know what I mean.
Patting you and catnip rolling, loving you except when you
If you're a child, then please
lively
don't.
in the night.
The content on my stream, like, even though I'm playing on something that's usually targeted to kids, the general language on my streams is,
not
really for children.
Chasing small animals,
Yes,
ramming into window glass.
For example,
Cardboard boxes,
look at that big
paper
ass supermarket over there.
Yep, it's such a
Look at
big
them fucking
surprise. He really
oranges.
likes boxes and
Okay,
bags.
that was the chip.
My sweet
If
Jack,
you're a child, please
tiny
don't repeat what I
paws,
said. Please don't.
climbing on the roof when we had a
I don't
roof
want to
we could
have
climb on.
swarms of angry parents messaging me or something saying,
Cutest cat voice I've
You
ever
teach a
heard.
little Billy to speak like a
Responding to
sailor.
the things I say, but never saying any words.
swallowed spit. Not good.
Treating you as you get older, wishing you were getting older. It's a painful truth. Wishing I could make you better, begging you to live forever, but it don't work that way. Crying as I'm writing this song, hating how the days feel so long since you passed away. Greatest cat that I've ever
Okay, so I know this song is about a cat, but this kind of hits close to home because we used to have a dachshund named Daphne. I think I talked about it briefly on stream, but we first got her when I believe I was 4 years old. She was a really nice cat. She was sweet, she was playful, pretty hyper sometimes. Was the beginning. Playful. But we had her up until quite literally a couple months after I turned 19, which, by the way, was also the same year I graduated from high school. And actually, if you want to know when she passed away, it was actually the day after I went to Colorado for my graduation trip. Sorry to lay some sadness on you, but it's a lesson. Pets don't last forever. They, like us humans, have their own mortality. They don't live as long as us humans. Really don't. It's a sad, painful truth, but I live with it. The soul is eternal, but physicality is not. I don't know where I was going with that. I was trying to sound poetic, but I sounded stupid. Anyway, I guess what I'm trying to say is that take the time you have with the pets that you have and spend as much time as you can. Whenever they get to that age where they get sick, make them feel comfortable. Make them feel happy. Make them feel trust me when I say this. Come a time when pets will go under the weather before they get older. It's more of a permanent under the weather situation. In that case, it's just make them feel comfortable for the last days of their lives. Our dog Daphne, she was just a little puppy when we first got her. So she lived, I believe, 15 years. So it's really long time. Actually, if I may, oh, that's the cat. Oh, sweet. Yeah. So, considering the fact that Daphne, I believe, was just, like I said, a little puppy when we first got her, um, and I was, again, 4 years old, which I believe this was in 2001. Um, so 2002, 2003, 2004, 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016. She lived 15 years, which is right around one of the longer periods of time that a dachshund can live. Because it says here that they live as long as 12 to 16 years. So she lived as full a life as you would expect from a dachshund that's, properly taken care of. But in the end, it wasn't just age that got to her. It was actually not age at all. It was cancer. Yeah, but you weren't expecting to hear that. But she lived a good life. And of course, I still miss her to this day. Still wish she was still with us. But even if she was still with us, she probably still wouldn't be alive to this day. Because, like I just showed, dachshunds only live a maximum of 16 years. Now, I have heard of dogs living longer than their expected lifespan, but that's rare. Unless they've been taken really good care of. But again, that's an entirely different story because I mean, we did what we were supposed to do when taking care of a dog like that. But I suppose what I'm trying to say is that Daphne lived a good life. We made her feel comfortable in the last several months of her life. And unfortunately, although we were not there to see her final days of life, the last time we ever got to see her was just before we all went to Colorado. But, yeah, gotta be thankful for the times that you have. Oh, hi. Someone over here. Um, that's actually not what she looked like, by the way. I'll try and pull up a picture of what she kind of looked like. Yeah, she looked like this. And of course, as a dog gets older, they'll start to have gray patches in their fur. Um, she was cute. Like, a very cute dog. But, Oculus Quest 2 tracking be like. Okay.
Paimon! Why are you looking at me like that? What an exotic creature! Is it edible?
Just a reminder, I'm planning on saving up for one of those. Even though there has been rumor and hearsay that we'll probably be hearing about a Quest 2 uh, next month for the Facebook Connect. But, I don't know. I mean, I'm still planning on getting a Quest 2. Maybe. I mean, unless the Quest Pro, wait, no. Actually, okay, so this is a theory of mine. So, they could announce it, and it could be coming up pretty soon, I guess, if that's the case. Um, but what I feel like it could be is that, what they would do is they would end up lowering the price of the current Oculus Quest 2, like the headsets that are currently on the market in stores. And whenever the Quest Pro comes out, that'll be probably around the same price range as what those headsets would be. That or maybe just bumping it up by 100. So, say for example, you have a base model, which is 256 gigs, and that's $400. Then you have the higher end model, which is $500, and that could be 512 gigs of storage, which is not entirely out of the realm of possibility. But if that does happen to be the case, then I might just hold off until buying it in February, because that's right around my birthday. So anyway, not focused on headsets right now. You're focused on Barnes and talking about stuff, I guess, like the aforementioned I'm Larry the Cucumber becoming I'm Larry the Cable Guy. I actually did say that once whenever I was a little kid. Like, I already talked about it like 10 minutes ago or something, but it was hilarious. I don't know why. It's probably one of the funniest things I've ever said. Ever. It's just... So, I know the person watching right now probably didn't hear what I was talking about, but basically... So, when I was a little kid, I went to church once, and I was in a church class. I guess it's called a church class. And so what happened was, we were watching VeggieTales, and it had just started. And you know how at the beginning of the show, after it gets through the introduction thing, you know, the VeggieTales title sequence thing, it goes to the opening of the episode where Bob and Larry introduce themselves before getting onto the story of the episode. So, Bob introduced himself, which is normal. And then, right after that, Larry was about to introduce himself. And so what had happened... And by the way, I didn't ask anyone to pause the video or anything. I just said this out of the blue whenever Larry was talking. But, what had happened was... God, I can't even say it without laughing my ass off. So Bob had said, I'm Bob the Tomato. And then when Larry was about to say something, I spoke over him, so I was talking when he was talking. And it was perfectly in sync as well. So it's like, I said it directly when he said something. And I said, and I'm Larry the Cable Guy. And everybody in the entire room started laughing at what I said. To this day, I still think it's probably one of the funniest things I've ever said. And please note, I didn't even think about saying that at all. I just said it out of the blue. But it's still really frickin' funny. It's like, when you're a kid, you always say funny things like that. And I happen to have known a little bit about Larry the Cable Guy. I mean, not like a whole bunch, just I know who he is because I've heard about him. And I've heard his voice. So what I did whenever I was trying to talk like I was Larry the Cucumber, I gave it a sort of southern twang to it with a voice. And so I said, and I'm Larry the Cable Guy. I will never forget the laughter I heard from everyone when I said that. Although I did for a while in my life, but that's only because of the fact that I forgot that I did that until I saw a post from one of my friends on Facebook. I'll grab my phone so I could talk about it, because it's really freaking funny. Oh boy. So, this is what it is. So you see this guy right here. I think his name is Wizard Yensid or something. And someone in this comment said, bro, he looks like Larry the Cucumber from VeggieTales. And so in the comments of my friend's post, I said, I remember when I was watching VeggieTales with some fellow kids one day, when Larry was introducing himself, I spoke over him and said, "And I'm Larry the Cable Guy." I know I keep beating that joke into the ground, but I gotta admit, it's really freaking funny. Yeah, oh, okay. Oh. But anyway, and yes, I'll be doing a sort of redo of the, Undertale thing that I was doing last night, because, you probably weren't here whenever I was talking about this at the very beginning of the stream, but, last night I did a stream on Roblox, and I was playing some Undertale RPs to talk about the impact that Undertale had on me. Not like, oh, it made me into a strong person. I believe in determination, yada yada yada. No. It's just that I wanted to celebrate the game's anniversary because it turned 6 years old yesterday. But what had happened was, I didn't realize until around the end of my stream, like probably 30 minutes before I ended my stream, that, so right now you can hear my microphone. That's kind of a given. What I didn't realize was last night when I was streaming, I thought the microphone was, set to what it was supposed to be. Because, in the audio mixer for Streamlabs, which you can see what I mean right here, that's the mic audio right here. And if I show it, this microphone right here is the microphone I'm using right now, which is, whoops. This fella right here. Right. It's a simple microphone. I think it was $30 when I got it, or 20 something. I think it was like 25. Pretty decent. It's pretty decent quality, It's the best I could afford anyway. I do intend on getting a new microphone at some point, but just not now. Because there are the things that I'm planning on doing. For one, I'm planning on saving up for the Oculus Quest 2, as I mentioned earlier. But, in November, I'm actually going to be getting a birthday present from my cousins, so it's going to be coming out of my wallet, but it's all for them, Anyway, yeah, but anyway, getting back to what I was saying. What I didn't realize last night until I had checked my audio was that, as it turns out, the audio from the microphone was set to default. Like, it's literally called default. Which is not this microphone, as you already saw. It was a bunch of random numbers. And that's what the microphone is labeled as that. But, it's actually from Walmart. It's one of those on USB podcast microphones. So it's, again, pretty good quality. It's not the best, but it's good enough to where you can hear me pretty easily, It's not like just muffled all around. Like, it's got a little bit of muffle, but not much. You can still hear me pretty decently. But, basically, because it was set as default, there actually was no mic audio at all. So, it wasn't until, someone was in my chat, and I commented hello, and I noticed something. When I was talking, they never commented whenever I was talking, and then it dawned on me. Maybe the reason why they aren't, saying anything to me is because I don't have mic audio. Come to find out, the mic audio was set to default for the device, which was no device at all. It was just default. which makes no sense. Because this has happened before, by the way. On a few occasions. Not often, but it has happened. But, what would happen is the microphone would be set up already. But, then some other time when I'm streaming, it'll be set to default and I don't realize it. So someone watching will be like, I can't hear you. And so I'll check my audio and I come to find out, of course, default. So I don't know why the hell it does that, but whatever, right? Technology. It's a blessing, but it's also a curse. Usually a curse. A very, very bad curse. Oh, I got both of those at once. Oh wow, already. I wonder what happens if you get all these. I don't think anyone ever has done that. But, yeah. If you want to check out this game on Roblox, it's, not that. It's, Club Farm Tycoon. It's currently in beta, but when I've played so far, it's actually really good. Also, hey, Gilly Master! I highly recommend them. They're awesome. They really are. I love promotions. I really, I don't know. It's been kind of a long day, kinda. Even though I've been home all day, but I do plan on going walking tomorrow though. It's fine because we've had really decent weather actually. Do I not have pop-ups every 3 seconds? Guess not. I'm doing fine. That voice crack. I'm doing fine. I've lost man points heavily. I lost like 10,000 man points right there. It's probably all of them. So I'm just left with like 1 man point. Oh look, it's me. Fennec Fox. They're really cute animals, actually. I'm at 9 million, nearly at 10. Oh boy. By the way, you can't drive these. Okay, maybe... Oh, wait, no, you just sit in it. And think about your life. So one single person watching, how are you doing? Can you hear me okay? Do I need to raise up the volume? Do I need to do anything? Or is everything all good? Hoping everything is good. Dairy farm. True. Bloop, bloop, bloop. I will say this. This is one of the few Tycoon games that are actually good and not a generic... Oh. It's, like, boring because it's literally just, oh, you have a building, you're building up. The only one I do like from that is the meme tycoon, but that's only because, you know, it's memes, modern internet culture. I sound like an old man, but I already said this earlier, but I'm 24. I sound and I probably feel like an old man just saying that. But I'm not an old man. And my name is not Jenkins. If it was, then that'd be kind of, you know, confusing. But I'm not named Old Man Jenkins. Trying to suck every single goddamn penny out of my pockets. Look at this. I'm gonna be poor after this. I feel like Mr. Krabs. I also sound like an idiot. Yeah, at least I'm getting cows. I've always thought cows were super cute. I'm serious. Cows are cute. The baby ones are. Cows themselves are pretty important. And not just because of steak. They also provide milk. Plus, I mean, come on. Cows are nice. They're like big dogs that happen to eat hay and produce milk out of udders. Even though female dogs also produce milk whenever they're pregnant. But, yeah. Actually, a lot of mammals produce milk, but we're not going to go into that because some of that is kind of inappropriate. Kind of. I mean, it could be if you're one of those weird people on the internet. I am not a weird person on the internet. I am just, built different. People still say that, right? I think. All I know is, money. And I forgot to get the money from my counter. Oh boy. Something tells me that pretty soon I'm gonna have to go back to my thing. Alright, what's next? Oh. We're not doing either of these, we're doing this. Whew, these financial investments, man. Woo! Look at that, the poor piggy bank's crying. Feel bad for the guy. You know, like, wouldn't you feel bad if someone was constantly stealing money out of your internal organs? It's like you're stealing his lunch out of his stomach. Okay, that's pretty morbid. I'm just gonna shut up now. And then he's dead. I feel guilty. This game has guilt-tripped me. I am guilt-tripped. I am hoodwinked! Bamboozled, even! Or I just feel like a jerk. I don't know. All I know is I got money from that. Definitely need it. Then we have the supermarket. And in a few seconds, you will probably see an advertisement. Magic finger. Hedgehogs. Please. Sega. Sega! I've seen advertisements on those things. Look. I'm gonna walk away, get my money, and then if it's not there, then I know I'm lying. Actually, the last time this game was updated was, eh, um, uh, damn it. Okay. Wait, maybe it's on another sign, because that thing hasn't changed. But what I remember is, I was playing this game a few hours ago, and I think it was in a different server as well. But there was literally a paid ad for Sonic Colors Ultimate's Digital Edition? Or Digital Deluxe, I mean. Which, I happen to have that. I wanted to get the game physically at first, but then I remembered, oh wait, the early access starts on the 3rd, I think. Because the game comes out for everybody on the 7th of September, which, of course, by now it's already been out for over a week. So, yeah. I got it. And, let's just say it had issues. But it's good now, because they fixed it. They fixed the issues that issued it. I can't talk, because I'm stupid. Not really. I'm the polar opposite of stupid. I'm just, I wouldn't say retarded, more, mentally challenged. Actually, no. Actually, it's funny that I mentioned that, because I remember one time, whenever I was a little kid, so, have you ever heard of a movie called Monster House? It's a very popular movie from, God, I don't even know when that movie came out. When did it come out? I know people use memes for it now. Oh, it came out in 2006. Okay. Wait. This movie wasn't stop motion? No way. What? Also, okay, first of all, I'm surprised that this movie came out before Halloween. Because I remember it being marketed around Halloween at that time, like, in that year. But I didn't realize it came out before that, especially in July, which is towards the later part of the summer. But, another thing, I am outraged that this movie lost to this. Which, mind you, is a good movie, but I prefer Monster House to a dancing penguin whose name is uh, Mumble. Yeah, this movie is way better. But, somehow, frickin' computer-generated dancing penguins is better than a fucking horror movie. Um, but the reason why I bring this movie up is that, when I was a little kid, I had seen the commercial where, towards the end of the commercial, uh, one of the main protagonists, the girl, um, she sees the boys trying to warn her about the house, and she asked them if they were mentally challenged. And, you know, like, the thing about when you're a kid is that sometimes you'll repeat something that you hear. I kid you not, that was actually something that I repeated, saying, maybe I am mentally challenged. Of course, I'm not actually mentally challenged. I mean, I have Asperger's syndrome, but I'm not mentally challenged like, oh, I need to go to a special facility. That's not it at all, but I was with my mama when I said that, and she said, "No, you're not. Who said that?" And I said, "I don't know, I heard it from a commercial or something." Yeah, so this is a lesson to movie producers. Don't you ever fucking do that again. Like, nowadays I could say that all willy-nilly and it wouldn't be a problem, because, I mean, for one, I wouldn't say that anyway. Like, I'll probably repeat it because it's like a line that I remember from the movie, because it actually is said in the movie. But, me saying it as a kid, like, my mama thought that I was, like, doubting myself or something. Which, I mean, obviously, I wasn't trying to doubt myself or anything like that. It's just, you know, it's just something I heard from a commercial. I didn't realize what it actually meant. Which, what it actually meant is it insinuates, you know, the girl thinking that the guys that were trying to warn her about the house were retarded. I didn't get that joke growing up. Of course, now I do get the joke. Yeah, I will say this. Now that I get the joke, and considering the fact that the two male protagonists in the movie do some pretty, goofy stuff, I can kind of see why she said that, but as a kid, like, I didn't get in trouble from it per se, but rather my mama got on me for saying that, because, like, I don't know, and I thought it was like me saying a curse word, which it wasn't, it was just her saying not to say that again, which, I mean, again, a little kid would say that anyway, because, you know, they're a little kid, they don't know any better. But, little kid me is way different from current me, who is, still kind of an oddball, but at least I ain't afraid to say it, you know? Like, you know? I am going to be poor. Mm-hmm. Oh my god. Yep. The good thing is I still have like 2 plots of land after this, and then I'll be done. And then I'll get to Undertale. RP. For real this time, instead of having my audio off without me even realizing. Oh, that was one of the farm hands, okay. Ah! I didn't have to go to the store, I just had to go over there. Still a far distance, I guess. Um, By the way, I'm not actually mad about, the thing that they say in the movie at all. It's just rather, I'm, I don't know. I guess it's just nowadays I don't mind it at all, and even then, whenever I was a kid, I didn't mind it because I didn't understand what it actually meant. And even now, just understanding what the joke actually meant, because it was a reference to how some people who may not be all right in the head may act goofy, like me. In fact, I actually used to take a medication for that. I still have that medication, and I have taken it on occasion. But in terms of taking it every single day, I kind of stopped doing that because come to find out, whenever I initially had to start taking the medicine, I mean, I was good to go. Okay, I had to use it, but no, not growing up, but as old as I am now, I don't need it because actually it has caused more of a negative impact on my not health, but my mental health. Because anytime I've taken my medicine lately, up until I just kind of stopped taking it, uh, let's just say that even though the medicine was supposed to help me control my impulsive behavior and act normal, it's done the opposite for, I don't know, until I stopped taking it. So, I mean, I'll still occasionally take it, but it's just because, but I haven't taken it in over a week, and the thing is, like I just said, whenever I got it, it was supposed to help with impulsive behaviors, because as I mentioned earlier, I have Asperger's syndrome. So, I have a form of autism. But what that medicine was supposed to do was it was supposed to dumb down, impulsive behavior that I might have, like just having random outbursts and stuff, which is it's understandable. But that was whenever I was in school. And even after I got out of school, um I would still take it every single day. But it wasn't until fair bit recently that come to find out nowadays it does the opposite and it makes me act more impulsive and act goofy, kind of loco. But not taking it, like forgetting to take it for a day or two, is actually better for me. And the reason why I bring this up is because my grandmother, bless her soul, because she just wanted what's best for me, I guess. But she was worried about it. What had happened was I had forgotten to take my medicine, and her knowing that, she was like scared about that because she thought, oh, he's gonna start acting crazy and stuff. And I mean, occasionally I have done that, but I try to control myself. But the problem is that it wasn't me not taking the medicine that has made me act out sometimes whenever I'm with her. It's because of her, basically. And again, I don't mean any hate to my mamaw. I love her. She loves me. But it's just, she could be a handful, okay? Especially nowadays, because unfortunately last year I lost my step-grandfather to COVID-19, which is never a good thing, losing your loved ones to any sort of disease, whether it be cancer or just pneumonia, or in this case, as I just said, COVID-19. But what she has done nowadays, and again, I don't mean any hate to her at all, it's just, she loves spending time with me, and I love spending time with her, but lately she's tried to drag me away from what I need to do at home, which, for one, I need to take care of our swimming pool pretty much on the daily, because, and this is kind of breaking off from my mama and how she has indirectly caused me to have impulsive and sometimes angry behaviors around her. That was a moth. Sorry about that. It's just there was a moth that I saw in my room a while ago, and I thought that, oh, he left. No, the little fucker's still in here. Moths, man, they suck. Except for the big ones, they're just like pets, basically. But anyway, what has happened is that ever since Magoo had passed away, of course she has needed me, which is understandable, but basically, also sorry about being silent, I was trying to pay attention to that. Nowadays, because she's really the only one at her house except for my uncle, who occasionally goes over there to help, she has had me come over there, and please note, the thing I'm about to talk about has even happened before COVID happened. But after I graduated, she started having me over for over a week. Now, initially, this wasn't really that big of a deal. The reason being is, of course, oh, okay. Oh, okay. I saw something on Facebook, sorry about that. um, I was gonna say, initially, this wasn't really a big problem because, um, even whenever I had initially graduated and I was out of... You better stay away from me, you fucker. Sorry about that, it's that moth. It's not an outburst, it's actually a moth. So if you see a little speck flying around, that's him. But what I was trying to say is that initially this wasn't a big deal because, of course, I didn't really have that many responsibilities at home. And even whenever we moved to the house I live in now with my folks, wasn't really that big a deal. But it was partially after we got our swimming pool, and I'm not blaming our swimming pool for this, it's just, yeah, basically, if you don't know, in February, Texas had a huge snowstorm that, really, really impacted us, and especially for our house, because what had happened was, because of this snowstorm and our power outage that happened for, I mean, for my area, it was likely 30 hours or so. It was a miserable experience, but the worst part is the fact that, because of that, some of the parts in our swimming pool pump just weren't working, so they had to be taken off. So we don't have, we don't have those parts anymore. Because of that, I've been having to take even more care of the swimming pool than I used to, because now it gets green in the pool every couple of days, so I have to brush it often. I have to put shock powder in there. I have to do all these things. And, you know, that's understandable, you know, having to take care of a swimming pool that isn't quite up to snuff with what it was supposed to be because of a snowstorm that, frankly, nobody expected. I caught the fucker. Yes! Ah. Okay, I'm back. What I was trying to say is because of the pool taking that hit, and now the only things that work are the water jets on the side and the little pool cleaner that we have at the bottom of the pool. Um, what has happened is that I've had to take even more care of the pool, and it's basically on a daily basis. And, you know, at first, um, even whenever we first got the pool, even knowing the responsibility that I have of taking care of it, um, I was still very much okay with going to my mammoths for a week. But, after that snowstorm and what it did to the swimming pool systems, it's, it's an entirely different story, basically. Um, so basically, because of that, I've had to take even more care of the pool on essentially a daily basis. And so, because of that, I can no longer go to my mammals for a week. And I'm not saying, oh, well, once it's been a week, I can go again. What I mean is that normally she would have me over for a week, and we've tried, like, my folks, Papa, my aunt, even, we've tried to explain to her that I can still come over, but not for as long as a week, or, longer, because sometimes that has happened. The one time where I was okay with that was because I had to, and it was because I had to, but, my aunt and my two cousins had contracted COVID-19. They're doing okay now. It was several months ago. But, because of that, I had to stay over at my grandmother's for, initially it was going to be 14 days, but we found out through my uncle, who was over at my mammal's at the time, that, as it turns out, the shortest amount of time that you can wait for a quarantine to end is 10 days. The longest is 14. So we opted to do just 10 days, and of course, whenever I came back, I kept my distance, as anyone would with people who are currently dealing with a illness that could very much turn south if not kept in check. Of course, luckily, it never did turn south. But by the time I came back, the pool was fairly green. Like, my papa said that he took care of the pool to the best of his abilities. There's the thing I was trying to show. There it is. Finally, now you know I'm not a liar. I think it just swaps occasionally. Because I've seen it swap between the actual regular billboard and that. But, what I was trying to say earlier is that, um, it wasn't until I had seen the pool after coming back from that basically 2 week break from being at home that I had come to realize something. I really shouldn't be gone from our house for over a week or even just a week because of how quickly the condition of the pool can go from relatively nice looking to a swamp, basically. So, essentially, we've had to explain to my mamaw that, hey, as fun as nice as it is to visit her, I just cannot afford to stay over there for over a week, because if that happens, or even if it's just a week, then the pool's going to be in worse shape than I had initially kept it whenever I left. Like, oh. Ooh, nice. But what I mean by this is that basically, okay, say for example, Mamaw plans on getting me for a week. And prior to me leaving, I decide to do stuff for the pool, you know, brushing it, putting in shock powder, checking on the chlorine tablets that we have in the pool. No, not in the pool, but in the pump and in the floaty, you know, those little floater things that you get from a store. They help chlorinate the water. I have to check all that stuff, and also have to net stuff out whenever there's a whole bunch of debris in the pool. Probably should do that soon, but it's not that much, so I just leave it up to the skimmers sometimes if it's small debris, but if it's a lot of debris that I have to clean out, then I'll net it out. But essentially, say I do all that stuff, and I end up going to Mamaw's for a week. By the time I get back, the pool's actually in worse shape than what it had initially had been by the time I finished with it before going. So because of that, what happened was a few weeks ago, I was contacted by Mamaw in a group chat, you know, with my papa and her, and she said that she was wanting to get me on a Wednesday, and that, you know, whoops, she had wanted to keep me until the following week on a Wednesday. And, you know, that seems all well and good to the average person, but for me, since I have so many responsibilities I have to do here, and it's not even just the pool, I also have to check the mail, I have to... Okay. I also have to take care of the dishwasher, I have to cook food here. Not like gourmet food that I get all the ingredients for, it's frozen meals I have to cook. But I have a lot of tasks. I'll just say that much. But I had to explain that to her because my papa said that I can try and talk her into having me for a shorter period of time. Yeah. I'll actually grab my phone for that. 'Cause, yeah, so, mind you, this was from a few weeks ago. And, basically, I'm reading from the group chat, by the way. But, she said, "Hey, Brandon, I would like to get you on Wednesday, the 25th of August, by the way. I will be in Arlington. I probably won't be finished in Arlington around 12 to 12:30 noon. Then I can head over to pick you up. I would like to keep you until September the 1st or the 2nd. I sure miss not having you come over." That's understandable. She's alone at home most of the time because Magoo passed. Still sad because it's been over a year. He passed away officially August 1st of 2020. But, basically, the following I'm about to read is from a one-on-one text with her later that day, I think. I said, "You're not going to keep me over for a week. You need to realize that I have tasks here that I have to do on a near daily basis. Maybe until that weekend Sunday, but not for over a week." And she said, "Sorry, can't take you home on Sunday." Then I said, "Then Monday?" And she says, "Brandon, you have not been to my house, I don't think, all summer." Which is a lie. The last time I was over there, excluding August, whenever I came over there to celebrate what would have been Magoo's birthday, was June. I think around the end of June, actually. But she goes on to say in that text, if you do your chores before you come over here, I'm sure you could do your chores when you get back. Which, that's kind of true, but at that point, things would be in worse shape than if I just stayed over there for like maybe a couple of days, like maybe 3 or 4, like over a weekend. I told her I was over there in June. Look, the chores I do here on a daily basis, I could stay over there until Monday. She then goes on to say, I don't remember when you were here in June. Okay, never mind. I have a lot going on in September, so I don't know what to say. Now, please note this stuff was from a little while back, but my point is, I have stuff that I have to do here, so if I want to come over, it's gonna have to be for a few days, not for a week or so, not for 2 weeks, like it was whenever I was in school and I had breaks in school. No, it would have to be something more manageable for me. And I'm not just saying that for my own personal agenda, because I have things I want to do, but I also have things that I have to do. So, basically what I'm getting at here is that yeah, oh, right, I was talking about my mama and her stance on me taking my medicine. I mean, even nowadays, if I were to go over there at some point soon, I'm not saying I will soon, but it's just in the event that I do go over there again, whenever it's a manageable amount of time for me to go over there and things aren't gonna turn sour the second I leave the house. I have to do the dishwasher, by the way, like a lot. I actually had to do it today. But basically, the whole medicine thing, as I already mentioned, nowadays, me taking my medicine would have a negative toll on my mental health. I'm not saying that it's driving me insane, it's just, it would make me want to have impulsive behaviors done. Like, for example, me doing something without thinking, or saying something without thinking, or having an outburst. Like, ever since I stopped taking my medicine every single day, that hasn't happened. Like, I'll still have an outburst whenever I get excited, but that's just from excitement. That's not, something random where I'm just like, ooh. But, the reason why I bring all this up is that there have been times where I have brought my medicine, but I've forgotten to take it just for one day. And what'll happen is Mama will tell me something and it gets me annoyed. Like, for example, she ends up saying, oh, something came up and you're gonna have to stay with me for a few more days. And, like, bear in mind, she has done this on occasion, and Papa would then later discuss it with me, because he would have no idea until I talked to him about it. The other problem is that sometimes Mama will drag me along with her to go some places. Like, to a store. Like, she'll say, oh, we're just going to one place. Only to be gone the entire fucking day. Which, it's, not fun when you're being dragged around like a dog on a chain or something, you know? And, again, bear in mind, I'm not trying to hate on her or anything. She's just doing what she does. It's nothing towards her. There's no hate involved or anything. It's just me spouting my feelings. So it's nothing against her, it's just, yeah, me speaking my mind, basically. But what has happened is sometimes she will say something that agitates me, or she will tell me something that happens and, oh, something has come up, you're gonna have to stay with me for a few more days because I have an appointment or something. So, oh, I don't know, taking me home the day before the appointment. But no, she can't do that because she has her own personal things and wants to drag me along with those. So because of that, I of course rightfully get annoyed by that because it's something that comes out of left field, you don't really expect it. So of course I, am frustrated and I get upset because she's like saying something that would annoy me. And so what'll happen is whenever I, verbally show my annoyance, like, can you stop doing that, Mamaw, please? Or not really that, it's just, she'll say something that just really pisses me off, like, the whole, oh, you're gonna have to stay over here for a few more days because of something. And, of course, me just hearing this out of the left field, like, I'll, of course, say that it's, like, basically, what I'm trying to say is she'll say something or do something that gets me upset, and out of completely nowhere, just because I didn't take a pill for one day, because I forgot, she's like, did you take your medicine? Like, even to this day, even the last time I ever went over there, she would do that. Like, staying over there. Only the problem is, it's not the medicine. Unknowingly, it's been her, because she'll do something that agitates me unknowingly. And she acts like, oh, it's the medicine, isn't it? You haven't taken your medicine. But it's not the medicine, it's just that, I mean, when you consider the fact that I myself don't have anger issues. Like, none whatsoever. I am a very well-managed person when it comes to my emotions. I don't really have outbursts unless it's something that warrants it. Like, if there is something that angers me in a meaningful way, I will vent my frustration. And that's what I've done when I'm with her, like, oh, we're going to this place, and we're going to this place, we're going to such and such. But whenever I, verbally say that I'm not happy with that, she will act as if me not taking one pill is the reason why I'm acting like that. When it's her. And again, like, I guarantee you that the next time I do stay over there for a few days, God forbid a week, I hope it's not a week, because she needs to understand that I do have things over here that I need to do on a near daily basis. But, yeah, wait. Oh, I'm done? Oh. Unless, anyway, like, what I'm trying to say is if and when I go over there again, and she does that, yeah, no, Mama, it's not my medicine, it's you frustrating me. And the other problem, speaking of her wanting me to come over there for a certain amount of time, usually a week or so, is that she's basically guilt tripping me into wanting to come over there because, oh, Magoo is gone, I need help, blah blah blah. And I didn't realize this was guilt tripping until the last time I ever went over there, which was all the way in August. Actually, it was August 7th last month, and it was, as I mentioned before, it was meant to be Magoo's birthday had he had survived, but unfortunately he did not. But, of course, Mamaw talked to me, and she asked me if I was staying over, if I was just visiting for the day, and I said I'm just hanging out. And so what happened was, she proceeded to, as you would predict, with a guilt-trippy person, which, I'm not saying Mamaw guilt trips all the time, it's just, nowadays she's lonely, so understandably she just wants someone to help her out. But she's done this to me so many times, where she keeps me over for a week just because. And she doesn't realize how important the things I do here are. You know, taking care of the pool, taking care of the dishwasher, cooking food, all this stuff. But the whole guilt trip thing was whenever she ended up asking me, do you think maybe sometime this week I could contact you and see if you want to come over? And I just said, I don't know, maybe. Because I didn't know what else to say, you know? My aunt, unbeknownst to me, told her not to do that again because, and my aunt knows this very well, and this isn't the same aunt who contracted COVID and had me stay over here for another week. It's another aunt who, actually, the last time I saw her, I think, was a few weeks ago. I don't remember. But, basically, she caught on to what Mamaw was trying to do, and she told her not to do that again, because she knew what she was doing. And look, I'm not saying Mamaw was trying to guilt trip me in a terrible way, like, oh, I need you to live over here from now on. It's just that, again, she needs to understand that as much as I would like to come over there and hang out, you know, as I've done in the past, it's come to my attention a while back, and it has come to my realization just how important the stuff I do here is, you know, just whether it's taking care of the pool on a near daily basis, taking care of the mail, you know, all these things. And then we have when my papa has to go to Colorado occasionally, which the last time he went was, I think, a week or two ago. But I had to stay home to take care of stuff. And the other time I had to do that was whenever he took my eldest cousin, Jacob, to Colorado to celebrate his graduation, just as Papa did with me 5 years ago, around the same time of the year, actually. So I had to do stuff like taking care of the plants outside, which I actually ended up having to not do that because we had rain during the time they were gone. But I still had to do other stuff like checking the mail. I think Papa stopped getting newspaper because he just canceled his newspaper subscription. But there were some other things as well, like taking out the trash and recycling, you know, stuff like that. So, it's not that I don't want to go over to my grandmother's, it's that when I do go, I don't want to stay over there for a week or so. At the very least, maybe 4 or 5 days, or just 3 at the minimum. Or just something along the lines of me spending the weekend with her, like going over there on a Friday and then coming back maybe on a Sunday or on a Monday. Of course, she said that one text, oh, Sunday can't work. Of course, again, this is from several weeks ago. But yeah, my point being, as much as I'd like to go over there again, there are things that I have to do here, so if I do go over there, it's not going to be for a week. Already told her this, I've been stern about it, I've stood my ground on it, but that's just my 2 cents, and I'm just going by what I need to do, not what she wants me to do. So if she wants me to come over for a few days, that's fine. But it's not going to be for a week, it's not going to be for 2, it's not going to be for 3. Although the whole 3 week / 2 week thing was because of my aunt that lives with us. It's not the same man I was talking about earlier who went to Colorado with us. It's just, yeah. But basically what I'm saying is, I guess the moral of the story is, if someone's trying to guilt trip you, just don't fall for it. Just don't. Just trust me when I say that guilt tripping is, even if you don't truly mean to, it's still one of the worst things that you could do to someone who, especially for me, because I've known Mamaw since I was born, but it's when that person loses someone, and so they have to depend on others, and then the person who they've had over there because they've helped raise them decides, oh, I'm just going to start having this person over for a week or so. Only that said person, aka me, has stuff that they have to do back in their own house to help out others who happen to live with them. Yeah. Cause see, if I was living by myself and she needed me to do stuff, then that's fine. Cause I would be by myself, so I wouldn't really have that much to leave behind before coming back. So I'd be okay with staying over for a week if that was the case, but I have things that I have to do here because people depend on me doing stuff here as well. So if I do go over to my grandmother's, it's probably just going to be for a few days. Hopefully not for a week or so. And I had to put my foot down about that. Anyway, let's just break from that. I'm not trying to start any drama with people. I'm not trying to speak badly about anyone. It's just I just wanted to vent about that, I guess. So it's something that I felt I should probably talk about because it's something that, honestly, if someone was in my situation where you had to deal with stuff at home and then someone tries to bring you over to their house and it ends up being longer than what you actually should be there for, then you'd understand my situation. Anyway. This game is cool, by the way. I'm gonna find some other games. I know I said something about Undertale, but I'm gonna play these first. No updates. Oh boy. What about this? Speaking of VR support, when are we gonna get Roblox being ported to Oculus Quest 2? Because that'll definitely make me want to buy one. Not that I wasn't planning on buying one. I just now realized that Bakugan event's gone. I didn't get all the items from that. Oh shit. um. Anyway, I was trying to say is that I am actually planning on getting the Quest 2 because to be honest, from what I've seen, from what I've heard, it is a remarkable standalone VR system. But the thing is, I was actually planning on buying one during this year, but it's actually a good thing that I held off on that because for one, I had made a post on Facebook a long time ago this year saying that I was planning on buying one, and immediately, uh, some of my friends were in support of that, saying, "Yeah, you should get one." But other friends were like, "I wouldn't get that if you're trying to do PC gaming and oh, the specs aren't good." I don't care what the specs are on it. If it's good at what it does, which by itself is an adequate, standalone VR, which if you don't know what that means, it means that you don't need some kind of external device like a computer or a game console. Pointing my PS5, by the way. Right over. You can't really see it. You can kind of see my DualSense over there. But I do have a PS5. It's hooked up to my TV. Um, but you don't need anything like that. You just play it how it is. But if you want to get the most out of it, have it on PC, you can, but you don't have to. Because it already has quite a bit of features on there just by default, you know. You got the Guardian system, which is the whole boundary setting thing where you can set a little boundary of your play area. Of course, for me, I'm probably just going to be sitting most of the time. Whenever I'm using it. But anyway, it's not just that, it's just the price of it. Because, okay, so here's the thing. When the Quest 2 first came out, there was initially the 64 gigabyte one, and then I believe the higher end model was the 256, although I could have sworn it was 128. I could be wrong though, but now I know it was actually the 256 model that was the higher end model, and the 64 gigabyte model was the low end. However, fairly recently, the device had to be put off sale for a while because of a small number of users having skin irritation around their eyes, which would cause their face to have reddened areas because of the foam. So there was a situation where they had to pull it off shelves for a while to think about what to do. Turns out what they needed to do was any current owners of the Oculus Quest 2, they could apply to have a silicone cover for the foam pad thing that goes around your eyes, so that way you could wrap that around it, and so that would negate the foam causing irritation. But any subsequent model of the Quest 2 that was sold on shelves, because now it's back in the market, it would have it included. And I've actually seen footage of what it looks like when you grab it out of the box. So when you grab out the headset, or when you're about to, there's this little cardboard slab thing that holds the headbands together, like in a neat looking way. But it would look thicker than the original packaging, and that's because that's where the silicone thing is that you would have to wrap around the foam in case you don't want to have any risks of reddened skin on the thing. So, yeah, so that's good. The other reason why it's a good thing that I held off on that is because they actually bumped up the storage capacity of the $300 model, which was originally the 64 gigabyte model, to 128. So you have an adequate amount of size for storage for if you're just using it standalone, because you could already fit a decent amount of games on there, just by itself. But 256 is fairly big for an all-in-one standalone VR headset. But anyway, yeah. So I don't know what I was doing there. Oh, I think I was about to look up the headset thing, but I just explained everything. But what's cool is that you could have Rec Room on the Oculus Quest 2. You could have frickin' VR Chat, which is one of my favorite, virtual reality games. And bear in mind, I've never at all used virtual reality in my life. And from what I've heard, it's going to be good for newcomers because the applications they have on the Quest are gauged by the intensity of the actual experience. So it's, regular, or not regular, but it can range from comfortable to intense. So comfortable is something like, YouTube VR, where it's just, you could watch it normally, or you could watch 3D, no, not 3D, 360 videos that are like VR-ified, I guess. I'm just gonna oh, that's cool. I forgot. But then we have the more intense stuff like shooters and stuff that you can play. And what's good about that is you could sort of start small with the VR games and stuff, to where it's like, at first you can start off with the comfortable games, but then whenever you start, getting more and more used to it, you could get onto the big leagues, I guess. I do have a gripe with the Oculus Quest and Quest 2 though. And this is coming from someone who doesn't have a bank account. But they do have a credit system. But where are the gift cards? Yeah, that's my gripe. It's not a major gripe. It's not like, oh, this thing explodes if you use it too much. It's not good to use it outside in the sun though, because it uses OLED screens and all that stuff, and so the sunlight can actually damage the electronics. Anyway. Anyway, but yeah, that's my gripe with the Quest and Quest 2. And yes, there are actually two Quests. The Quest 2 came out October last year, actually. But basically, the thing is, like I said, I don't have a bank account, so I typically get gift cards for a platform that I'm using. Say for example, Steam or PlayStation or Xbox or Nintendo Switch, something like that. I don't get it from my phone though, because I don't see any need for that. But this is actually a really good way to play this, because it's like a 3D-ified version of Undertale. Anyway, what I was trying to say is that I think it'd be cool if they had like Oculus Quest store credit, gift cards that you could get. But unfortunately, the only way to actually get credits is if you have a bank account or if you have a prepaid card, and you could convert whatever money that you want from that card to the actual store credit for Oculus. But I really wish that they could do the actual gift cards that you could buy. And I did see that they did that for the Rift S, but they don't have it for the Quest, which is a little strange, I guess. Oh wait, this is supposed to be a side-scrolling thing. Yeah. I will admit though, so oh, I didn't realize that water actually moved. That's cool. Actually, it's funny that I'm playing Roblox right now, because, there was actually something that came up a few months ago, where, David Bazzucci of, Roblox, the David Bazzucci, had mentioned that it makes perfect sense to bring Roblox to Quest 2, especially because of the versatility of the Quest 2 itself. Because even if you don't want to play something in VR mode, like for example, you don't have to use YouTube completely in VR mode. You could watch normal videos in rectangular view, but there are also 360 videos that could be treated as a VR experience. So, say for example you see a 360 video of a roller coaster ride. Normally, if you're just playing on desktop, you would have to click the mouse and drag around. I'm using the right mouse for this, but it'd be the left mouse in this case. But you use either the arrow keys or the mouse button thing and then drag it around, and it would turn the video around. Like you're looking around. But with a VR headset like the Quest 2 or just the basic Quest, it would be treated as if you're actually there, which is awesome. There's actually quite a number of these videos that you could watch this way. It's pretty awesome. Anyway, also yes, I'm looking at the chat, I'm not showing it, I guess. Take a look at this cursed goodness. Cursed! But for Roblox, what could happen is, and I read on this for whenever you use Quest 2 with Roblox itself, through PC VR stuff, which my PC likely isn't compatible with it. But as it turns out, you can in fact use the Quest 2 on Roblox, but it's got some hoops that you have to jump through. You have to have the Oculus app on the PC. You have to connect the Oculus Quest 2 to it. And then you have to have some kind of unknown source thing turned on or something, and then that'd be Roblox in this case, and then what'll happen is when you're playing a game or something, you go to the settings and it'll show VR mode. Because you set up the Oculus Quest to be... Okay, everything's good. I was looking at this screen over here that I'm looking at right now, and it showed that the stream health was in yellow. I think it's because of the, yeah. Weird. But anyway, in the actual settings when you're playing a Roblox game, what would happen is that, it would show VR mode when you're actually in the settings, right here. Which, it doesn't show it for me, but I'm just giving you an example. You would see it in the options. I saw that. But anyway, oh, right, I lost my train of thought because of the chat. Oh, what I was trying to say is that, you would see a thing called VR mode, and you would turn that on. But what they could do for the Roblox, Quest port, is that you could turn that on and off. And if you turn it off, it'll be sort of like playing on the, Xbox version, but likely at a higher strength, you know, like higher power level. Probably. But the only difference between this and the basic Xbox version is that you'd be able to use the virtual keyboard for chatting and stuff, which would be really cool. But in VR mode, you could still use the virtual keyboard, but it would only be applicable to certain Roblox experiences, you know, games, that do have VR support. Now, if there's a game that you're playing that doesn't have VR support, you can still play it, but it would, by default, be set to standard mode. But it does make perfect sense to bring Roblox to Quest 2, and David also had mentioned that it would also make perfect sense to bring the platform to PlayStation or Switch, because they already brought it over to Xbox and mobile. Xbox was, I think it was a partnership deal with Microsoft and Roblox, so it's not like it's exclusive to that. It's just, there's likely some things that they would have to do. What the? Oh yeah, I forgot. Undyne's house looks like this after it gets caught on fire. This must be what hell looks like. Wait, can you actually go in here? Yes. Also, those don't hurt. I thought I saw the static moving. Anyway, yeah, what I'm trying to say is that bringing Roblox to, PlayStation, and I'm not talking about just being exclusive on PS5, because it could also be on PS4. It's very, very applicable there, because it would run off the same kind of port as the Xbox version. So, you know, a dumbed down version of the PC version. Obviously not being able to play the same games. Goodbye, flower. Oh my god, I'm being followed. That is actually terrifying. He is following me. What the? They are following me. Actually, it does make sense, because in the original Undertale, he does follow you. Watching what you're doing and then saying, "Remember, in this world, it's kill or be killed." Apparently, this also applies here. Anyway, but for the Quest version, it could be based on the PC version, but it could have the ability to be in VR mode in certain games. So, yeah. Why is everyone following me? Everyone is just following me. That still looks beautiful. Yeah. Basically what I'm saying is, like, take this game for example. If you're playing this on a Quest 2, obviously, by default, a game like this, unless it's been updated to have VR support, then you would only play it sort of like when you're playing the console port of Roblox, where the controls would be like playing on a controller as for any game. But like it would have some added features, like for example, the virtual keyboard, because a headset like that, you wouldn't have an actual keyboard hooked up to it, but it would have a virtual keyboard at the ready in case you want to type something in chat. That's what I mean. But for a game that does have VR support, like the Pepper's Playhouse thing that I was playing earlier, which I have actually seen people using VR on there, it's really cool. But basically, also yes, I'm doing a tour of the game based on the events, I guess. But, oh, there we go. But basically, also, that lava effect is so cool. What I'm trying to say is that, for a game that does have VR support, you could still do the, oh, I forgot, it's this side, yeah. You could still use the virtual keyboard, but you could also toggle VR mode in case you just want to stick to just playing Roblox the regular way, but with a VR headset that you're wearing. And actually, something else, if they do end up bringing Roblox 2 Oculus, what I think would be really, really cool is, obviously you would have to link up your Roblox account with the platform that you're playing on. So, say for example, you're playing on the PlayStation, and you link it up with the PlayStation, or the Switch, or what have you. What could happen is, depending on what platform you've linked up your Roblox account with, you could get an exclusive item. For example, if you hook it up with your Oculus account, which of course is also your Facebook account, I think. But I think that's just required for the setup, which, to me, I'm okay with that. I was gonna say, basically, okay, now that I'm in a place that wouldn't affect my stream in a negative way, if you link it up with your Oculus account, you would get a Oculus Quest 2 virtual item for your avatar that would look like they're actually wearing the headset, and you could also get a item for your character to look like they're using the touch controllers. And I think that's a waist item or something. Because there was this Avengers event that they had in Roblox a few years ago. I think the promote in-game or something. And there was a Tony Stark repulsor beam glove thing. And I think it was labeled a shoulder accessory, but it was actually attached to your avatar's hand. But they could do the same thing for the Oculus Quest touch controllers to make it look like your character, along with the headset, looks like they're playing Roblox in VR. Now for the PlayStation port, they could have it to where you could have a PlayStation shirt, and as an added bonus, if you're playing on the PS5, or really just if it's connected to your PlayStation account, you could have a Astrobot Arthro character that looks like the Astrobot from the Astro games, like Rescue Mission, Playroom VR, and of course Astro's Playroom for the PS5. For Switch, I don't know, a Nintendo hat, like a Mario hat or something. But they could probably have like exclusive Nintendo Switch content to buy on Nintendo Switch for that version of Roblox. And obviously the same thing would be said for the PlayStation port, so you could have maybe Jak and Daxter, and Daxter could be a back accessory, or shoulder accessory, I guess. You could have Ratchet with a Clank back accessory, you could have Sly with his cane as a back accessory, you know, things like that. Because I think that'd be really cool. I saw him mock for a second. Fun fact, that's actually where Sans walks to in the actual game. This is the dumpster thing that you would go to. Wait, can you actually walk in here? There's nothing in here. Anyway, wait, no, I have another idea. So for the Nintendo Switch version of Roblox, they could have character packs just like on the PlayStation. So it could be like Link, Fox McCloud, Mario, Luigi, Princess Peach, Toad, you know, exclusive character bundles like that. Oh yeah, and Kratos for the PlayStation, obviously. They could also do that same thing for Xbox as well, because I'm surprised they don't have like a character bundle of Master Chief or something, because that'd be cool. But for the Oculus Quest 2, Wait, no. They can do that for the Oculus Quest 2 as well, because they have the Echo Arena game that you can actually get for free. And because of that game being free, you could get an Echo Arena avatar for free as well. That's cute. That is so cute. I don't know any other ideas for what they could do for other ports of Roblox coming to other platforms. Because, I mean, I wouldn't need to cover PC because it literally started off on PC 15 years ago. Yes, really, Roblox is officially 15 years old this year. As of September 1st, actually. Wait. Which was 2006. I think it was 9 years old when that happened, when Roblox became a public game that people could play without having to worry about a beta. Them! Again. Yeah, it was 9. Because I know in 2007 I was 10 years old. In 2008 I was 11. In 2009 I was 12. Uh. Yeah, it was 9. So I was 9 years old when Roblox became public. And what I mean by that is that before Roblox, like, what I mean by Roblox being 15 now is I'm talking about when it became a public game that people could play on and not just for testing, early access, stuff like that. I'm talking about when it was fully released, like out to the masses. Even though you didn't even end to buy it, you just signed up. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. No Megalovania here. I apologize for the choppy frame rate, by the way. Like, anytime I'm in an area in the game that has a choppy frame rate, like, for me, it'll appear just fine. But to the actual stream, it's actually choppy. Like, say for example, in here, the frame rate becomes choppy. What'll happen is, whenever the frame rate becomes choppy, my stream health goes down to yellow, which is normal. It's not like it's cutting out or anything. Anyway, I remember this. Wait. No wonder. Oh. Oh, I thought it would show the hole that you fall into at the beginning of the game. Down the mountain hole. Hopefully it's not a volcano, because then you'll be a cooked goose. That was a bad joke. Yeah, Roblox is officially 15 years old this year. Which is crazy. And what's actually really funny is that, now that I mention it, Roblox actually released, Roblox toys that celebrate the 15th anniversary. For real, it's not just, oh, well, they just released it at the same time. No. They're specifically marketed as being for the 15th anniversary, which is pretty cool. But, I unfortunately do not have the budget for those. Anyway, alright. Oh, yeah. Always love whenever I do a good stretch, my back pops. It's good. Hmm. Dogs. Alright, I think I'm ready to end the stream. Which is actually longer than, last night, but the only reason being is because this stream I actually was planning on doing, but last night, whenever I was doing my stream for last night, which I've now deleted because, I already mentioned it at the beginning of the stream, but it's because of the microphone not actually being enabled in the actual audio mixer. It was the microphone that it set to be the default was actually a different mic, one that's not actually a mic at all. It was just saying default. But you would think that what I think it is because my webcam right here has a microphone built in, but it's also the microphone that's directly in front of me, the one that you're hearing right now. That's the microphone that should be the default one, but because there's multiple devices hooked up in my computer that happen to have microphones, it was confused, so it just said default, which was nothing at all. So that's the reason why I ended up deleting the stream last night, was because for a large majority of the stream leading up until the later part, like 30 minutes before I ended the stream, there was no audio from me. You could hear the games and everything that I was doing, but there was no audio from the actual microphone like you would hear right now. So because of that, I wasn't satisfied with what happened, so I deleted the stream, and this is what is essentially replacing that. So, yeah. But hey, at least I got to do something extra, because I got to play that Tycoon game, finish it up, and then I played the Undertale thing earlier. Talked about stuff, you know, including a funny life story. Remember, folks, if you're watching Veggie Tales, anytime you see Larry about to introduce himself, proudly interrupt him and say,
And I'm Larry the Cable Guy.
the crowd will go wild. I guess. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this. If you did, then follow me if you'd like. Unless you're a bot. Yeah, you had a encounter with those. They haven't commented, but they have followed. But I'd ban them. It's a responsible thing to do. But yeah. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed. Follow me. Follow me if you'd like. I will be trying my best to be quick with uploading the streams I've done lately to YouTube as VODs. So look forward to that. It'll be on my Fur Place channel. But yeah. Night. See you later.